Welcome to Encroachment Sports Talk. And we've hit the quarter pole now in this fresh NFL season. And for all of you fantasy players, it's time to really evaluate, how your team's looking, why your team's looking good or bad. And we've got a little thoughts on that. We're going to go through talking about the fantasy studs so far, studs being those players who have exceeded expectations. We're going to go through duds, those who have fallen well short of expectations. And then at the end, we'll offer a little nugget of our esteemed panel's predictions of who might be a sleeper to pick up to add value to your team going forward at the end of this season. Let's move along to our duds. I know, Jeff, you're going to react strongly to my number 3rd place dud, but he's Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was the number 3 ranked receiver coming into the season. He's at number 13. And in my approach, average points below expectation, being the number 13th receiver doesn't mean he's terrible. But when you pay top 3 money, if you're in an auction draft, or if you take a guy, he had an average draft position of number 6. If he's your first round pick and you're getting, 13th receiver production out of him, your fantasy league team is struggling. So he's 7.8 points below expectations. He's coming in at number 3. I would be surprised, but you guys, never cease to amaze me when it comes to your rankings and stuff. But I'd be surprised if this guy is in the top of at least one of your guys' lists. But Jonathan Taylor coming in at number 2, huge disappointment. Number 1 ranked running back in pre-draft position, number 2 average draft position, and he's performing like the number 24th best running back. So anybody who drafted Jonathan Taylor, unless you got one of the other studs that we talked about, you're hurting it, because he's coming in at 8.9 points below. The 3rd guy actually surprised me in that I haven't been following his game that closely this year, but it's Kyle Pitts. He was the number 3 ranked tight end, and it's gone are the days when the tight end was sort of an afterthought on your fantasy squad. Tight ends, as you guys know, with Kelsey and in the past, Jonathan Waller puts up big numbers. A lot of these tight ends are Andrews, right? And I'm drawing a blank on the Niners. Kittle in the past put up huge numbers. But anyway, he was the number 3 ranked guy, and he's coming in at 20th for tight end production for a whopping 10.4 points below expectations. So
those are good calls.
Yeah, those are my numbers. Chris, why don't you tell us maybe a little bit about what the eye test tells you?
Yeah. The good news is I'm not colorblind, so I can see the.
You do have Lions colors there too, kind of.
Yeah, well, I do. I was going to say it. I've got a little bit of. I'm bringing it too.
We're here, Chris. We're here.
I know. We can see it. We can see it.
Yeah.
But that's why Mark's wearing the glasses, by the way. So anyway, so my first one was Jonathan Taylor, so I won't go into it. I agree with Mark. I mean, he was literally in every draft I participated in, he was the number 1 guy selected. And he was selected there not only because of production over the last couple of years, but because that line, or the O-line, is just mauling. You got Kelly and you got that other kid. I mean, it's just it's a great line. So he's well below expectations. And then you couple him with Matt Ryan, who's he's got 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. We all watched that snooze fest on Thursday, and holy Christ, I would rather go to the dentist than watch that.
His new nickname is Matty Ice Bath.
It's true.
That was ugly. That was.
Yeah,
ugly.
he looks over. He looks just completely old and immobile.
But he's making Russell Wilson look like a chump, though. So
yeah, well, he was on my list too. That was another one that you could almost talk about as well, because I think he's underperforming as well. But the next one, so we won't go too much more into Jonathan Taylor, but he's up there. He's Alvin Kamara. What the heck is going on with Alvin Kamara? I mean, I know he's injured, but he's got 2 games in. He's got 24 carries, 100 yards, and no touchdowns. Are you kidding me? This guy scored 5 touchdowns against my Vikings a couple years ago to kill me in one league. So, I mean, I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe he got paid and he's not interested, but or something. But he looks not engaged, disinterested, and he's now kind of always injured. So He's up there for me.
You know, one strategy I use, especially with a guy like Kamara, is I tend to stay away from the top running backs who have been there for a few years. I expect that best case you're getting them at their peak, but more than likely you're going to overpay because they're going to start their decline. So that could be happening with Kamara. Who knows?
Yeah, especially running back. We know that usually you get a good maybe five strong years, and then they start to decline. They just take so much contact and punishment there. But he's not one that takes a lot of square hits, frankly. Right. So so I was surprised there. And then the third guy, I think this has a lot to do with his quarterback, is DJ Moore. I mean, I thought this was going to be his breakout year, frankly. I picked him, as being one of the top maybe 5 receivers in terms of talent. He's way up there, but he's got what now? He's got he averages 3 receptions, 34 yards a game. How pedestrian is that? I mean, that's crazy. Now he's playing with Baker Mayfield, so maybe it's the curse of Baker Mayfield. But he does not look like the DJ Moore that I expected. And I hope they use him a little more because the kid is super talented. And then the guy who didn't make was close on kind of on my watch. It was on the kind of the watch list. There was Allen Robinson. I thought he was going to be a much bigger deal in that LA Rams offense. So those are kind of my duds to date.
How about you, Jeff?
Well, you roll off before I even go there. This segment, or the rest of the segment, it's called Let Them Go. Let these players go, right? And I'm going to start off with, Chris, you hit the nail on the head. Allen Robinson, let him go. That offense is ranked 20th in total passing yards. Yeah. Only 4 touchdowns for the Super Bowl champion. Matt Stafford, he can't throw the ball deep. Not sure what's going on with his arm, right? And for those short passes, it's only going to 2 players, Tyler Higbee or Cooper Kupp. Right. They're the only ones getting the majority of those targets, right? Moving on. We already discussed Alvin Kamara. I will not get deep there. You already hit Kyle Pitts. But here's another one. Chase Claypool. Let him go, right? George Pickens has surpassed him, and he's a rookie, right? Now, I got it. Kenny Pickett, rookie quarterback with a rough schedule so far, but it doesn't look good. Steeler Nation, I don't know what's going on here, but with the young, deep talent, it will only get worse. And when I say young, deep talent, I'm talking about on offense, right? You have Pickens, you have Deontay Johnson. Chris, you mentioned Pat
Freiermuth. Yeah.
Thank you. Is that German? I believe it is. I think it is, right? But it's just not enough passes for him to be even considered a top target. So if you have Chase Claypool, repeat after me, let him go.
I hold a grudge in fantasy. I had him last year. I will never pick that guy again.
In best ball, he's a great pickup because he can have one stellar game and then he'd be up the radar. But obviously, you're right, Jeff. That's right on the nail. I mean, Deontay Johnson's a superstar too. Both those receivers are being totally underutilized. But again, it's a function of
the Mitch Trubisky effect.
Yeah, exactly. That'll do it to you. That's for sure.
I'm going to switch. I'm going to go back to the quarterback here. And if you have Justin Fields. Yeah. Chris, what you gonna do?
You're gonna let the guy go.
Yeah. Let him go, right? Rushing and throwing. He's quarterback 32. Although the run game is going really well for Chicago, right? The Bears has no intent on throwing the ball. There's not enough volume being thrown out of the arm of Fields. So it's just not gonna happen with this player. You just gotta cut time. And last but not least, on my list of let him go, Hunter Henry, right?
Oh, yeah.
With Jono Smith injured, I thought this would be the reason for Hunter Henry to shine, especially within New England, where they use a lot of tight end sets, right? So less than 2 receptions a game and 0 touchdown. He's playing 75% of the snaps on offense. I can't trust him. 4 fantasy points through 4 games. Mark, do me a favor. Let
him go.
him go. And those are my four, folks.
Those are good calls, Jeff.
You are on a roll, so we're going to let you continue. You've given people advice on who to cut ties with. How about a sleeper or two for them to, to help them down the stretch here?
Sleeper. Dare I say it? It may be the only thing out there in Houston that's any good quality. I'm talking about Damien Pierce, right? A rookie running back. And if you don't know who this guy is, go ahead and go over to YouTube and look up Damien Pierce, right? But he had quite the fast rise up here within Houston. And I got it. They got Rex Burkhead in the backfield. But this kid, he's legit and he's going to get snaps. He was so good in preseason that after one game, the coaching staff there didn't play him the rest of the preseason. They had saw enough through one game where they didn't play him the remaining 3 games. So with Pierce, what you're going to get is at least 15 to 20 snaps or run per game. And right now, after last week's performance, I believe he averaged 15 carries for 140 yards and a touchdown. But those with a big 75-yarder, right, that he broke and took to the house. But those numbers it's only going to get better the more he proves that he can carry that workload. Because again, what's really going on out there in Houston? Nothing much. He is it. So my sleeper, Damien Pierce to watch.
Good call. How about you, Chris?
Well, I like Pierce a lot, actually, and I'm in the Houston market, so I get kind of inundated with that. But he's played really, really well. I mean, I'm one of those guys in fantasy, especially when you're in the league, that I'm always wanting to buy. Well, it's like anyone else. Everyone's got this theory. Obviously, it's nothing too controversial or innovative. But you want to buy real low, right? So I'm looking for guys that are way underperforming, but that have superstar potential. So if you can get a Dalvin Cook or a Henry or even a Jonathan Taylor, if you can get those at reasonable prices, I can't believe they'll underperform that significantly for an extended period of time, unless they're just falling off the cliff. So my advice is more kind of generic in nature. Try to find yourself some, high value at a low price and go from there.
I agree. A couple of comments since Jeff stole my with his brilliant analysis. I had Damien Pierce as my sleeper as well.
Mark, we
my God,
this week.
Oh, exactly.
Man,
are you sure, Mark?
Yeah. In addition to the numbers, Pierce has been coming off the field in the fourth quarter a little bit for Rex Burkhead, and that a lot of that has to do with familiarity. So as the season progresses, they're going to trust him more and more, and that's why I see the similar explosion as well. I think your buy low strategy on if you can get Jonathan Taylor, he's not declining due to a physical issue. He's too young for that. So if you could get a Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to say I look also at trends. I've been doing fantasy football since Emmitt Smith was a rookie. If you can do that math, it's before the computer. Before the internet, and we had to score our statistics manually. Hence,
I remember the days of the box score. You'd have to open up a newspaper.
Well, that explains the math.
Waiting for the newspaper at 6 a.m. Exactly. Going out and it's dark, waiting for the newspaper because I was in a nail biter, and Chris Berman didn't give me enough insight as to whether I won or not. But anyway, so I look at trends as well. So when I first approached this, I'm like, what rookie running back is ready to explode? Because rookie running backs, it takes them a while to pick up the system, to pick up the pass protection. And so even if they're talented in terms of carrying the ball, they're not always on the field for that many possessions. So maybe take a look at Breece Hall, similar kind of running back with the Jets. The Jets now have their starting quarterback back. And, he may have the same kind of explosion, because I think in general, you'll see that kind of trend with rookie running backs, in that they start up a little slowly and then they'll kind of burst on the scene as their team, their coach trusts them more. So
that's a good call. Good point.
Anyway, that's great. Great show for us today. And for all you listeners out there, hopefully we give you a few nuggets in terms of how to approach the rest of your season. And we will call it a wrap. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sounds good. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games tomorrow.